Welcome to the 2016 Malaysian Grand Prix review. Now, Malaysia's just finished round 16 of the 2016 Formula 1 World Championship, and if you didn't watch this race, I implore you to go and watch it. Everything you think will happen in this race didn't, really. It was absolutely terrible. Now, obviously, if you didn't watch this race, you probably think Mercedes would get a 1-2, and also as well, if they get a 1-2, they would win the Constructors' Championship in Malaysia, obviously 5 rounds ahead of the end of the season. And that didn't happen. They had one driver who finished the race on the podium in third, so obviously very well done to him, and we'll get on to who that is and what happened with his race in a bit. But the second driver, the leader of the race, and the man in second place, chasing down the man in first place in the World Championship, what happened to him, JT?
What happened to him? Well, apparently he went for a bit of a wander back to the paddock for some reason. Reports of smoke and fire, apparently. So I'm gathering a bit of an engine failure occurred on the Mercedes. So
it sounds
good
like
deal around.
Yeah.
Good deal around.
Not good. We'll get into that in a bit. But what we're going to start off with, an award, the most prestigious award in Formula 1, and that is the Driver of the Day Award, the F1 Debate Show's Driver of the Day Award. Now, obviously, we are in competition as well with the official Formula 1 Driver of the Day Award, which is ridiculous.
Yes.
They gave it to Max Verstappen, but don't listen to that. This is the best award in Formula 1. I mean, Michael Schumacher in the 7 World Championships has nothing on people like Daniel Ricciardo, who have won the Driver of the Day Award. So, JT, will you please tell our fans who has won the Driver of the Day Award for the 2016 Malaysian Grand Prix review this race?
Yes, this race, okay. It goes to the other Red Bull driver who obviously won the race in Daniel Ricciardo. Now, the reason why we chose Daniel Ricciardo was because of his obviously keeping behind Max Verstappen, who a very quick, talented driver, young teammate as well. Also keeping in front of Nico Rosberg as well, who, yes, he was far behind and got touched at the start, which we'll get onto in a bit. But again, he's got a fast car, so he did want to keep behind him. And when he was behind Lewis Hamilton, he actually kept up with him as well, and also got into some very, very good battles with his teammate Max Verstappen as well. Some brilliant defenders and brilliant moves, absolutely incredible. Daniel Ricciardo fully deserves this, and also he did the shoey. So that topped everything off. So Daniel Ricciardo, this is coming to yours, first class to wherever you live, either Monaco, Australia, or Basingstoke. I don't know where you live.
I don't know who created the shoey, but it's a very disgusting thing to think that Daniel Ricciardo's been driving around in a 3-hour fireproof boot, and then he goes and drinks some champagne out of it. But we don't judge whoever created that. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing race. But again, though, that's disappointing. I mean, obviously it's my guy who wins. I'm wearing a Daniel Ricciardo thing, and that was his first win since Belgium 2014. Obviously, we went winless through last year and almost this year. And obviously, I forgot what round it was, but obviously between Spain and now, that was the time when he would be feeling very under pressure, because he'd be like, right, my 18-year-old teammate who came in won his very first race, and I haven't won yet. But thankfully, he has won. He has won now. But the only unfortunate thing is that I think about Red Bull is, unfortunately, they can only do it when Mercedes fall. But obviously this time it was only one Mercedes and not two Mercedes like in Spain, but it was a really good race. So let's start off with the formation lap. I mean, what action happens on the formation lap, JT?
Nothing.
Apart from the cars staying in order and walking up the tyres. But this one was probably the most eventful formation lap I've ever seen in my life in Formula 1. Basically, okay, so we had Felipe Massa. Obviously, he had problems. He was stuck in the pit lane limiter, which obviously hindered the throttle outputs. Obviously, he couldn't get off the start. Obviously, they do a few burnouts getting off the grid. He couldn't do that. So he was then pushed back. The rules are that when the last car, obviously, so it was Fernando Alonso. When Fernando Alonso passes him, as soon as that happens, he has to start from the pit lane. If he gets going before Fernando Alonso passes him, he can then start. He can just go off from the formation lap and then retake his position. So he couldn't do that. He started from the pit lane, but again, a normal start by him. He run a very lonely race, Felipe Massa. Jolyon Palmer was on the radio saying that he had a loss of power. And then, but more surprisingly, Carlos Sainz. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, JT. I'm going to ask our fans a question. Do you think you could start your car in 1 second?
No.
And he did it. It's not like a normal road car. He started his Formula 1 car in 1 second with about 5,000 horsepower on the grid and all that pressure. And obviously, if he didn't do it, he'd spend the next 2 hours, on the Xbox or something in the Toro Rosso garage. Yes, obviously, basically, as soon as the lights were about to go out, he was on the radio saying that he had the engine had cut out. And then that was the last thing we heard about at JT, because the lights obviously took about 10 seconds to go on. Then it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off, and then Carlos Sainz goes, and then even I remember obviously because I was watching at Sky Sports F1, the commentators were very miffed about that. Like David Croft, he normally does it, 5 minutes, and away we go, and he didn't at this time because he'd be thinking, what's going on? Because also the camera went to the back of the grid just to think like he was going to show a yellow flag, and it was just about, I'm sure, like literally it probably went on about yellow for about a millisecond. I'm sure I saw that, but then it went to green, lights out. But anyway, that was a formation lap. No action happens on that apart from today. So we then headed down, obviously 600 odd metres down into the first corner, and there was a bit of entanglement with Nico Rosberg, surprisingly, but obviously very old friends of Sebastian Vettel and a Red Bull driver, and this time in the shape of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen 2.0, because obviously remember they had a little collision in Spa first corner. Nico Rosberg ended up spinning. The stewards found out that there was just a racing incident. What happened there? But basically, Sebastian Vettel tried to squeeze on the inside on a gap that wasn't there. But I guess he could have made it. And obviously, for the 4-time world champion, he was trying to get a gap which wasn't there. Which is a driver. That's what Ayrton Senna said. He said, if you try to get a gap that isn't there or something like that. No, he said, it doesn't matter. But you know what I mean? Like, he was a Formula 1 driver trying to get into there. It was found there was a racing incident, but anyway, Sebastian Vettel made collision with both Max and Nico, ended up breaking his front left suspension unit, his wheel came up, and he was unable to finish the race. But again, no penalty came from that. That was the first corner incident, so obviously Nico Rosberg dropped all the way back to 22nd. And now, if you're watching this, Toto Wolff had his hands in his head, hands in his something like that. His hands in his head, just right there. About this, it was absolutely detrimental for his championship hopes, wasn't it, JT? I mean, the leader, it was about to go down after Lewis Hamilton, after his amazing pole position lap, and now he's back at 22nd. It was like Nico was going to be out now, and I think everyone was thinking now it's Lewis who's going to win the race, and that's his championship lost. Nico's championship lost.
Yeah, exactly, because I think, obviously, you knew that Rosberg was going to come through the grid because of the pace of his car, but then you think, well, Hamilton, again, the pace of his car and on his day is unstoppable, so he's going to get ahead, and Rosberg will have to change his strategy, Hamilton will have to stick to the same strategy, Hamilton's going to run with it, Rosberg might come to P2, maybe even P3, I don't know, try to get as high as he possibly can, and do well like that. And then obviously I believe Mercedes would have wrapped the constructors up that way, but it never even turned out like that because we had a bit of a boring middle stint of the race. And then all of a sudden, the camera was on the two Red Bulls. They're battling like crazy. Very good multi 21.2, let's say, 2.0. And then all of a sudden, the camera turns. The crowd's cheering. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, there's loads of smoke. There's fire coming out the back of the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. And everyone was like, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable because like this is Lewis Hamilton we're talking about. He's leading the race, and like. And Rosberg's not even, like, he can't even pick up the pieces, so it's like, what's going on? And, like, obviously, he pulled it to one side, and obviously, Hamilton on team radio, it's like, no, proper, like, going at it absolutely mental, and obviously, that just spiced things up. The two Red Bulls overtook it. There's Christian Horner on the team radio, on the team pit wall, just like he's got engineering, like, did you see that? Did you really see that? Am I actually seeing this?
And he brought back his famous, foot tapping, which obviously he did when Sebastian Vettel was winning, but it was...
that came out. Loads of things happened. But honestly, it was absolutely amazing. And then I think that was everyone was like, "Oh, this is a good race. Okay, this is an amazing race." Like, everyone was like going like absolutely mental in that. Honestly, I love it when Mercedes retires as well. But nobody could have predicted that, Elsie. Nobody could have predicted what was to happen.
No, not at all. But a big shout out though I want to say is to the JT's team of McLaren. Absolutely an amazing race by them. Now obviously we had Jenson Button in Q3 in the top 10 yesterday, and he was today. Now his race was average, but obviously I think also for his 300th Grand Prix. But I think the best one was his counterpart Fernando Alonso. Obviously starting from Japan with his 50,000 place grid penalty, and then he went from 22nd to 7th, obviously overtaking Jenson Button. He was in very close contention. I put that on the channel. I was talking to JT before. I was saying obviously it had to be Daniel Ricciardo because he won, but Fernando Alonso was incredibly close. Again, Jenson was as well. Both McLaren in Q3. Both McLaren obviously Jenson in Q3 yesterday, and then both in the points today, and then especially Fernando Alonso. I mean, that is unbelievable. That just shows the best Fernando. But I mean, top 10, that is great, isn't it?
And obviously as well, Jenson Button scored points on his 300th Grand Prix, and he becomes the only driver to do that.
Yes.
Because Barrichello and Schumacher never scored on their 300th Grand Prix, but Jenson Button has. Brilliant, especially in a car that's so underpowered as well. And Alonso going from 22nd to 7th. Strategy, spot on, boys. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Force India was around us, so I don't think we're nowhere near them at the moment. But we did finish ahead of the Toro Rossos. Happy days, McLaren. Let's continue with this. But can you remember in the preview when I said I came out to score points in the last Grand Prix? You've never get to score points in this Grand Prix.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, a lot of strange
things. They've only gone and done it again.
Have they?
Like seriously, look at that. Like Renault scored points back to back.
Oh my
guys.
God.
But you're probably thinking, oh, this came out score points again. You're wrong. Julian Palmer has scored points.
Now, that's even scarier, guys.
Of points. Well, his first point in Formula One. In his career, it's been a long time coming. He did come very close in Hungary. A bit unlucky. I think I fell for him a little bit when he obviously spun, lost that out, went from P10 to P14, and we were like, unlucky in a way. But we do criticise Renault a bit, but I think they're coming of age now because they've now scored two points in the last 2 races. Johnny Palmer has scored points. To be fair, that is actually worthy of Driver of the Day award. Why didn't even we consider it? Really that should be driver of the season award. Well, there, guys.
He's in contention for that. But so obviously Renault doing good progress. But obviously unfortunately, JT, obviously my other team from the United States, obviously Haas, very bad race from them.
Esteban Gutierrez as well. That tyre, bloody hell.
We had a tyre just. To be honest, actually, me and JT were talking about that yesterday. We were out yesterday, and we were talking about punches and tyres running away. I know it wasn't a puncher, but it was just a runaway rail. And the funny thing was, because we were riding on board with Kimi Räikkönen, so obviously he was following it, and then Esteban Gutierrez almost went off in that direction, and the tyre just run alongside him.
I'm going this way, guys.
If somebody can find that photo, you definitely need to make a meme of that, because literally, I imagine Esteban Gutierrez was driving along, and the car going, looks left. Oh, there's my tyre. What's my tyre doing?
Wait there. It's right, and it's like, oh dear, what's going on?
His tyre actually went faster than him. Into that corner.
This actually is probably true,
but
on any of them cars.
And then obviously Romain Grosjean, very unfortunate. His disc broke on the front, which obviously made his brakes fail. Just really bad. He was very optimistic when he was getting interviewed about it. Obviously, saying that his year with Haas has been very good. It's looking good. Someone else has shown another shoe there after replay, but that was discussing that shoey.
It actually is really disgusting.
It's like one of it's one of Ricciardo's trademarks.
I mean, it's okay if it's your own shoe because it's your own sweat and everything, but it's when Christian Horner did it. It's like. That isn't nice. Especially when Mark did it a few weeks ago.
When Mark did it a few weeks ago, that was just there he is now. There he is. He was disgusting. Not Mark Webber, but Mark Webber. This track, he'll just be glad. But the thing is, though, let me just say something quickly on Mark Webber. When he was watching the telly, JT, do you think he went, Sebastian Vettel's out? Yes, get in.
If you're sitting there like on important, going, oh no.
No, Sebastian's out. Oh, that.
He probably has loads of I hate Sebastian Vettel posters in his bedroom at home or something like a dartboard. Do you know has anyone seen The Simpsons or something with Sideshow Bob or something? He had a dartboard with Bart Simpson's face on, and he'd be throwing stuff at it. That'll be Sebastian Vettel face 2013. Happy face and whether I will get you some day, Sebastian. That type of thing. But that isn't about it. But yes, I want to mention something that happened very bizarrely in the race. Now, obviously, it's just a little thing, but I think it's very strange for it to happen not once, but twice in the Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon got caught speeding in the pit lane. Not once, but twice. And I thought that was very, very odd, because you got a caution for it. Then you got a 5-second time penalty. Then it happened again, and then I was like, what's going on?
I know.
That's twice that's happened.
Reports were saying that his limiter was broken. Obviously, the thing that on the game, the thing that tells you that it's 50 mile an hour. But it is unsure. As JD's right, it is very, very strange. And obviously, again, that adds up. Esteban, just not having probably the best impact that he wanted in Formula 1, which is a real shame. This just doesn't help about it. 10 seconds. I mean, he did have a good race, battling his teammate, which was good, because at that stage, obviously, at Esteban, especially Esteban's stage of a very, very new boy, only a few rounds at man of the team at I'm not going to say at the back, but Sauber. Yeah. But he's battling his teammate. But he is showing progression, isn't he, though? I mean, I am liking his since he came in Belgium, I'm really liking his progression.
Oh, he is a good driver. Obviously, Belgium had a fantastic Grand Prix, and I was thinking, right, here comes the next big thing, and then he hasn't really been shining in the past couple of races. I think he might be a bit nervous. Will he get the seat next season? I don't know. Will he have Renault? Possibly. I don't really. But I think the way Julian Palmer's and K-Mag's going at the moment, 2 points in 2 races, that's enough to secure some seats for Renault as well. But also, Force India had a bit of a quiet race, didn't they, LC? I mean, P6 and P8, but normally they do a massive big thing, don't they? Obviously, when something like this happens. I mean, I think Perez was up to 4th at one stage, but then kind of lost out in the pit stops. Hülkenberg was nowhere to be seen. I even did predict in the preview that Hülkenberg would outscore Perez, which I was kind of wrong about that. Yeah. But I did also say that one of the Red Bulls would win by the end of the season, from now to the end of the season.
Well done.
And I was right.
Well done, JC. Well done.
Mystic JC.
But just as you mentioned, Force India, they're the quiet race. They might have, But they are now ahead, as you know now, in their battle. So they have 124 points and 3 points ahead of Williams. Again, it's not over, but it's now a lead. They are now ahead. They were sweating going into Malaysia, thinking, what is going to happen now? But now they get into the very technical Japan Suzuka circuit, which I do believe Williams will have the upper hand. Obviously, they've done incredibly well in the past, done incredibly well through the mid-2000s, and I just feel like that car and Suzuka go hand in hand. Whether it's Force India, I'm not really sure, but we'll keep that for the preview of Japan, obviously. But that is such a battle that's going to be great. Once it was Williams, then it was Force India, then it was Williams, Force India, all the time. Like
constantly battling,
just battling constantly. But now they are ahead. So I'll just list down quickly the constructors' championship results. Obviously, the only thing, obviously, Mercedes would have won if they had outscored Red Bull, even by 1 point, but that never happened. Obviously, so Red Bull took the maximum points away, which is 43 points. So they're on 359 in second place, and obviously only third place, Nico Rosberg's 15 points for Mercedes. They're still on 553. I mean, obviously though, JT, I am sure they will take it home in Japan. But again, we're going to talk about the Japan preview, and obviously the debate show, which will be coming out obviously next week. But it's very unsure now because Hamilton hasn't just had a bad race with his engine blowouts. Because it was his engine and he's used up all of his tokens, and we know he had a 90 billion grid penalty for Belgium. So it's not as simple as it sounds, does it? Normally you'd think he's had an engine blowout, he's had a problem with the car, that's fine. He just goes back, he has a few days, travelling, doing what he normally doing hammer time like he normally does. He gets to Japan, he gets to Japan, does what he does on the track. Everything's hunky dory, but that's not what's going to happen, JT. If he has any problems with tokens and grid penalties, it could hurt him, couldn't it? I mean, this could be really detrimental.
Well, it's definitely put a spanner in the title works for Lewis Hamilton, definitely, because he'll be kicking himself going, well, Rosberg is literally like a race win ahead of Lewis Hamilton now. It's all to play for. He needs to buckle down. He needs to hope Rosberg has a problem of some sort, because it's in Rosberg's favour, and Rosberg will be sitting there going, I've got this in my hands now. All I have to do is just carefully carry it all the way to the finish and just hope that Lewis Hamilton will slip. But then Hamilton will be going, right, I want Rosberg to slip, and I hope he does slip, and I'll try everything I possibly can to try to get that trophy off him. And it's going to be such a close fight at the end of the season. Honestly, I mean, yes, it is a two driver, Mercedes domination season, but it's all about Rosberg or Hamilton.
Yeah.
Which one is going to win?
Is it left or right?
That's it. Is it going to be Hamilton? Or is it going to be Rosberg? Team Hamilton or Team Rosberg?
Yeah, you'll have to make your predictions, guys. You can't have like Team Ricciardo or Team Verstappen because they're just not going to win. But obviously, as we know, Ricciardo is best of the rest, and he really, really is.
Yes, he is.
Just quickly on the teams, because again, obviously that's really heating up as well. McLaren have now got a massive gap on Toro Rosso, I'd say, so they are now in 62 points. Obviously, both drivers scoring for McLaren. Toro Rosso are there down on 47, which is I'm trying to do math in my head, I can't. But 62 to 47, that is the gap. Obviously, Haas don't improve. They had 28, no points from them. Renault on 8, Manor on 1 still, and then obviously Sauber, JT, do you want to have a guess? You're going to have 5 guesses.
5 guesses.
You won't get it.
Okay, do I get 4? On 4 points?
No.
3 points?
No.
2 points?
No.
1 point?
No.
It can't be on 5 points, are there?
5 points for Sauber, no, it's 0, obviously.
Obviously. Oh yeah, I can see the constructors there.
Yeah.
On the telly, by the way. No, not on the screen, just on the telly. Just
it's an F1 debate show specific, like aid, isn't it? I mean, because we just have F1 debate show kitted out.
Oh, we do. Don't F1 debate show HQ.
We have F1 debate show problems though, because I don't know if you were aware, guys, but we just had technical problems, obviously, with the F1 debate show. We also had technical problems this morning trying to get this going.
Yes, we did. We did this about like 4 takes.
The F1 debate show. We should go back like the cavemen, the Stone Age. So if you want to watch the F1 debate show, just come round our hut.
We both have really bad at it.
We do. It was absolutely terrible. So I'll just list off the drivers really quickly. Obviously, as you know now, Nico Rosberg takes 288 points over Lewis Hamilton, who didn't improve. 265. That's a 23-point lead. Absolutely amazing. Ricciardo's now crept up to the 200 points, and it does look on paper like he can catch him, but obviously he can't. 61 points behind JT. I mean, again, just even saying that, it doesn't sound meant much. It is, but it just doesn't sound much, does it?
No, it doesn't really bother. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, really the best of the rest. 44 points ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. Then it's Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Nico Hülkenberg, and Fernando Alonso. And then it gets down to the really nitty gritty. So again, you might see like little movements by them. For example, it's only 1 point between Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa. Just leaving little things like 2 points between Carlos Sainz and Romain Grosjean. And that's what obviously every driver aims for. It's the top 10 of the driving championship. But obviously, all these drivers at the bottom with 0, you can count them out completely.
Poor guys.
Absolutely.
Who are them?
Absolutely mad, absolutely messed up. But it was a really, really great race. Very disappointing for Ferrari, obviously, with their one retirement of Sebastian Vettel. He would not have been happy with that. It was not very good for them. But yeah, apart from that, it was a really great race. So JT, out of 10, what would you give this race?
I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I'll tell you why, because, to be fair, the second half of the race was probably 10 out of 10. The first bit of it was probably about a 6. So let's balance it out. I want to say 7.5 out of 10. I mean, there was dramatic moments, but there was moments in the race where it was a bit dull, a bit boring and stuff. So for me, 7.5 out of 10. What about you, Elsie? What would you rate this race? There we go.
I was hoping that it would be a good race, and it was looking like it was going to be, pretty good, pretty enjoyable. So obviously, with all the retirements that have gone on and all the collisions and things like that, I would probably give it around around 8. So it's very close to you, JT. It wasn't probably the most exciting race we've ever seen, but in terms of the Malaysian Grand Prix, it was good. And also as well, I mean, when I was watching it, does anyone think we were in round 2? That it was like
I was thinking, Australia was last week, next week, and it's China.
So I was thinking, everyone's in contention. Verline's in contention, Magnussen and everyone. So it's really. That means
there's only 4. No, 5. Is there 5 rounds left? 5 rounds left. 5 rounds left.
Yeah, so we have the 4 back. Obviously, we have the 4 back-to-back races. We have Japan, which is next week. Then we have a week gap, and then it is the United States Grand Prix at Austin. Then we have the Mexican Grand Prix. That's the last of the October races. Then it's the 2 races left: Brazilian Grand Prix of Sao Paulo, and then the curtain closes in the twilight race of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Absolutely amazing. And then we get into the winter break, and it's all over. So obviously we've got all that to look forward to. So I mean, this race was absolutely fantastic. I'll just lift off the top 10 for you quickly. So we had Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Nico Rosberg, Kimi Raikkonen, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hülkenberg, Jenson Button, and as JT said, Julian Palmer.
I can't believe I'm gonna say the top 10 and Julian Palmer would be in the same sentence this season.
I know. I never thought that
Absolutely
would be.
This is Formula 1. It just stews up loads of surprises. This is the biggest surprise ever.
It is the biggest surprise ever. Well, apart from probably the second, I mean, come on, Hamilton's got to be a big one. The retirements in this race were Sebastian Vettel, Romain Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, Esteban Gutierrez, Felipe Nasser, and obviously the man himself, the #blessed, #I hate engines. He hates engines more than we hate the internet, JT.
Jesus, like literally sum up that race for Lewis Hamilton is like, yes, our technical problems. It's like, yes. Oh no,
that really a bit like I did that. We put that video on the channel yesterday, or obviously like on Saturday qualifying with Fernando Alonso going, oh no, that is literally us. It's but 10 times worse.
A lot worse.
We're getting on a bit of a slant. So obviously, thank you very much for watching this review. We hope you really enjoyed the race. We will see you very shortly for next week as it goes even further east to an amazing circuit of the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Yes.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa. And we'll see you next week. Bye guys.
See you guys.